Hi, everybody. It's Kelly Russell, the Rock Your Joy coach. And I'm here doing another live teaching. I love doing this so much. And tonight's topic is in fear we trust, but love is a better investment. I love the whole idea of talking about trust. It's such a huge thing for so many people. So I know that a lot of people, as a coach and as a psychotherapist, I hear a lot from people who have trust issues, and I get that, and I understand how that happens. I mean, just even from being a human and oops, growing in the growing in utero, and where we're all like in our little personal little spa with a little hot tub, and we're just being, every need is being catered to, and it's all warm and cozy in there. And then 9 months later, it's like we get like ejected into like this cold, bright, loud world and get smacked on the butt. And that's like first chink in the trust armor, right? So, but there are even deeper reasons that go back a much longer time ago than any of whatever happened to us in our childhood or birth trauma or whatever, that has a lot to do with why we have such trust issues. And so I want to get into that and just kind of give you some ideas about why do we have trust issues in the first place, and then even more importantly, because the why is the why is helpful to kind of understand for context, but knowing the why of something does not heal it. It does not fix it. It doesn't. It's not the cure or the answer. And so if we just know why something is, but we don't do anything about it or take any kind of action to change our minds about it or think about it differently or whatever, then it's still going to be whatever a problem that it's been in our lives. So, trust. All right. Before any of us came into this world, we were already carrying, like deep in our soul, we're already carrying the belief that we can't trust because we believe that we are separated from our creator. We believe that I'm just going to call it love. Whatever your word for it is is great, and it's whatever it is. But at the end of the day, whatever we think of as greater than us, whether we call it God or spirit or the universe, whether we are in some other spiritual tradition or whatever it is, it doesn't really matter what our word for it is, but the how we think of it is whatever power is, the god of our understanding, or the higher power. And so I'm just going to refer to it as the power of love, because I think that's what's at the core of whatever we're naming it. And so we believe in our very unconscious being that we have separated from the love that is that power. We don't see it as being part of us or us having access to it. We don't see ourselves as being a creation of that creator. We may say, oh, we were all created by this creator, but we don't see the relationship. So if a being that is perfect, which is, as most of us have the belief, if we believe in a divine higher power, we believe in the perfection of that power. And so if you think about it, if something is completely perfect, there's no way that it could create anything that is not completely perfect. And because love creates by extending itself. So love extends itself, and whatever it creates is love. So we are literally pure love as an extension of pure love. We are pure substance of whatever it is that created us. So if you look at it like that, then every one of us, every being that is created by love, by that power, has all of those same characteristics and is perfect. So if you start with that premise that we are perfect, everyone is perfect, you are perfect, all the people that you think aren't perfect are actually perfect, then there's nothing to mistrust there, you know. But what happens is that we've learned to believe in something that's not true because we've learned to listen to an erroneous voice that is telling us a completely different story. And so we've learned to believe that we are not good, that not only are we not perfect, but that we're very imperfect and flawed is the word that I hear people use to talk about we're flawed. You know, God is perfect, but we're flawed. We're not flawed. The only thing that makes us think that we're flawed is that somebody imposed that idea on us. So if we go back to the premise that we are extensions of pure love and that that is who we are at our very core, and whatever is happening in this world of form on this uh, plane of existence is a result of what we believe to be true about ourselves, and then that is playing out into the world, that is playing out on the stage of the world, or in our sort of in our movie. Whatever we have learned that we think we are, if we think we're not good enough, if we think we're crappy, if we think we're losers or failures, we think something's wrong with us, we're not worthy, we're not deserving, we are going to project that onto other people, and we're going to see them in that same way. And so when we come into this world, if we're coming into this world already and deep in our unconscious mind we have embedded this belief that we have separated from love, and that love isn't who we are anymore, and love isn't love isn't part of us, and we're not part of love, and that we have, we've sort of rejected love, and it's not available to us anymore, then we're going to feel like there's something wrong with us, and we are going to feel afraid, and we're going to we're not going to trust. We're not going to trust ourselves. We're not going to trust other people, and we're going to form an expectation in our minds that, and whatever expectation we have in our minds gets played out in the world. That is how this world works, is that whatever we're expecting, if we don't think that we're good enough, we don't think we're worthy, we think something's wrong with us, we we don't believe that we're pure love and good and innocent, that we're going to project onto the world whatever we believe to be true about ourselves, and we are also going to project that onto other people, and we're going to see them in the same way that we see ourselves. And so that is sort of the premise that we're coming from when I talk about anything, that is the premise I'm coming from. And so if we think about trust, so the other problem with the way that things work in this world, or the way that people believe things work, is that the past creates the future, and that whatever happened in the past, it, however I feel, whatever happened to me, whatever went down, however I was treated, whatever somebody else did, which is ultimately kind of like the way that we look at the past. Um, I that is now affecting me in this present time because of what happened to me, and it also will affect my future. So we see a very big link between the past and what's happening now, and between the past and the future. And so that's where the whole thing kind of falls apart because yeah, and I hear it a lot because I'm a coach and people, have goals that they want to accomplish. They have visions that they want to bring to life. And so when we start talking about what do you think is standing in your way of that? Why hasn't that happened already? What do you think the obstacles are? It almost always goes back to something that happened to them and why it's somebody else was responsible. Same thing in my psychotherapy practice. That the way that I am has to do with my parents were this way, my mother was this way, this happened, that happened, and so there's a very direct link, but it's only in our minds that the past is creating the future, and that the reason why we are any way that we are right now is because of the past. It's not that it's not related to the past. The way that it's related is that it's what we believe about what happened to us, what we believe to be true about it. Because what's really creating the present and the future is our belief about it. And so our belief about anything is what is causing our lives to be the way that they are. It's our expectation. What we believe causes us to expect that things will go a certain way for us. It's what causes us to believe what's available to us, what we are capable of, what we can have, what we can experience and accomplish. It's all because of what we believe. And so if we believe that what happened to us caused us to be defective in some way, if we had something went down in our early lives and we believe that we are defective, we are not worthy, there's something wrong with us, and we are carrying those beliefs and things like guilt and shame and anxiety and PTSD and depression and all of those things, they are all a result of what we believe to be true about ourselves. And that's what ends up creating our experience of the world. There's no way that that can't happen because our minds, we are such powerful creators. We are, again, an extension of our creator, whatever you believe that to be and whatever name you have for it. We are an extension of that. And so we have the same creative ability and power as our creator had, as our creator imbued us with, imparted to us. And so that's where the creative power lies, is in our minds. And so when we are when we believe something, when we have a constellation of chronic thoughts, which form a belief pattern, which is all a belief is thoughts that you just keep thinking over and over again, it becomes a very powerful force and it forms our the pathway that we take into the world and the kinds of situations and people and adventures and experiences, whether we label them good or bad, that we draw to ourselves. And, being in whatever that belief is, belief carries with it an energy field. And it's an energy field that is related to the emotions that we feel about whatever it is that we're believing in. And so if we're believing in something and we feel angry about it, we feel victimized, resentful, we have any of the negative feelings, sad, upset, anxious, really angry, and just whatever those emotions are, that has a very dense, low vibration. That is the energy. And so it's going to be very difficult for us to attract anything that is a higher vibration, that is a higher emotion when we are in an energy field like that. And so if we are walking around feeling like we can't trust people because of something that happened to us a long time ago, and something may have happened to us that was terrible, and I'm not suggesting that it didn't, but if something happened to us and it was between us and one person, or us and these people, what we have a tendency to do is form a belief that that then means that I can't trust anyone, or I can't trust anyone in this particular population, or I can't trust anyone in this particular gender, or I can't trust anyone that is, that has certain characteristics that whatever that happened to me carries, the person or people or whatever it was that I experienced carries with it. And so, but the truth is, whatever happened to us, the only thing that is causing us to not be able to trust other people is our belief that we can't. And it's going to be a self fulfilling prophecy. If we believe that we can't trust people, what's going to happen is that vibration, that energy field is going to draw into our experience people that then behave in such a way that they betray our trust. But it's not because all people can't be trusted. It's not because this is just what always happens to me. Well, it might be what just always happens to you, but it's not because of bad luck. It's not because of what happened to you in the past. It's because of the energy field that you're locating yourself in based on an erroneous belief that you keep believing in. And the thing is, nothing's going to change unless you change your belief about it. And so things are going to stay as they are as long as you believe something to be true. And when you allow yourself to open your mind about it and to see it differently and to change your energy around it, that's actually what allows miracles to happen and things to transpire very differently. And that's what allows you. So in the example of something happening to us when we are children or when we're very young or even at birth, we're carrying this unconscious guilt that we're not lovable, that we have separated from our creator, that we've separated from love. And so right there in the very beginning, we are already carrying this erroneous belief, but it's got a very low vibration, unworthiness, undeserving, defective, something's wrong with me, guilt, energy field with it. So we already experienced that, and then we come into the world, and what that's going to cause us to do is, like I said before, attract people and situations and circumstances and experiences and so forth that are going to reflect back to us that, oh, that's true. See, I knew it. The world is terrible. People can't be trusted. I got betrayed. These things keep happening to me. And so when we start to see that that's actually not true, and that I can decide to think about this differently. And so I'll think about, okay, well, that happened, but instead of me focusing on that happened and becoming the reason why I can't have what I want in my life, or the reason why my life was messed up, or I didn't get to have the chances that I wanted to have, or it, it affected me so negatively and so forth. Instead of that, we have to learn to be able to look at it differently and make a different meaning out of it. And so we have to be able to look at whatever it was that happened. My own situation with this, I have several things that I could talk about, but one of them is that my father was an alcoholic, and I adored him, and I thought he was the best thing ever, and he was so fun, and he was a great storyteller, and he knew how to do everything, and he taught me how to ride a bike and ice skate, and he was generous and fun and fun-loving and funny and helpful and kind and thoughtful and all those things. But there eventually got to be a time in my life where I wasn't focusing on any of that, and I was pretty young, and I learned instead to develop resentment of him for having a drinking problem, and in my mind making my mother sad. And then in my mind, that's why my mother worked at night. And I mean, it was a whole thing that who knows how much truth there was to it, but it's a whole thing that I invested all this thought energy in. And I went from somebody who had a really sweet, lovely relationship with their dad to having a lot of resentment, a lot of judgment and condemnation toward him. And it really colored my whole experience of my father from childhood, maybe 6 or 7 or 8 years old, until he passed away when I was in my 30s. And so it wasn't until later that I really allowed myself to examine that I made the decision that me carrying that energy around and looking at it the way that I did, and blaming him for whatever issues I had in my life that had to do with just about anything, with relationships and men, and why I wasn't where I wanted to be in my life, and finances, and I mean, you name it, and I could make a case for it. And that's what ends up happening is we use our past to get to our future. And by telling, by making a certain meaning out of it, and then believing in that meaning, and then making that be the reason why we can't be happy, or we have difficulty or challenges, or we think we are failing in some way, or we're not accomplishing what we would like to be accomplishing. And so that if we are asked, or if we're asking ourselves why, why is that? What's the reason? What's the obstacle? What's standing in my way? Why haven't I been able to have what I want or get what I want? If the answer to that question, those kinds of questions, starts with because of filling the blank, and it's a name of somebody, or because of an experience that happened to me, then it's not because of those things, but those give us a clue that I've got a story going about something about that. And that's where it's coming from, is that my thoughts have formed certain about whatever happened, formed certain beliefs, and those beliefs have sort of coalesced into a story that I have. And now it's my story that I'm carrying around, or one of my stories. And so I carried a story around about my father for the longest time. I've carried stories about, exes, and, you know, if somebody were to say to me, which they did, oh, well, what, why did you get divorced? This is like decades ago, but why did you get divorced? Literally, my answer would start with, oh, because my ex-husband, blah, 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 blah. And it was just like blamed it right on him, and and I did that for a really long time. And what I understand now is that any negative story that we are carrying about anything affects us negatively in other parts of our lives, and we can't pigeonhole it. We can't contain it. So if we have a negative story going about someone in our lives or something that happened to us, or how we feel like we were victimized or mistreated, or something happened to us and it shouldn't have, and we couldn't control it, and now we're making all this meaning out of it, telling a story about it. We can't just pigeonhole that and say, well, that thing that happened and that story that I have going about it is only going to affect me in this one area that's related to it. It doesn't work like that. It causes resistance in our entire energy field, which means that when we want to create a life and we want to have a life be peaceful, and we want to have loving relationships, and we want to have fun, and we want to enjoy, and we want to have abundance and prosperity, we want to love our work, we want to enjoy our friends, we want to have great adventures and experiences and do all these fun things. If we are carrying negative vibration, and if we're carrying negative thoughts and beliefs that are poisoning our energy field, it's going to be really hard for us to sustain that life we want. It's going to be really hard for us to be in a place where we can attract those things. That's an energy thing. That's just part of how this world works. And so the best thing that we can do for ourselves, if we believe that we have trust issues, is to take responsibility, not for what happened to us, but take responsibility for the way that we are thinking about it. And a lot of times, the way that we're thinking about it is quite unconscious to us, because we've never changed the way that we've been thinking about it since we got to be a certain age. When we're very young, when we're children, we're very concrete in our thinking, very black and white, very very egocentric, and then everything is kind of about us and because of us. And then as we get older and we develop, our brains develop, and we have capacity for more abstract thought, and that continues to develop, and until our brains are supposedly fully developed by the time we're about 26 or 27. um, I don't know about that for my own self, but um, then we just can think about things differently. But a lot of times we don't necessarily re-examine these things, or we we re-examine them, but we go in that other direction of, we find even greater fault with someone, or we elaborate the story, or we join together with other people who have had a similar experience, and we join our stories together and we make a bigger story out of it. And the problem with doing that is, whatever we focus on and whatever we give our thought energy to, and whatever we invest our belief in, and carry emotion about, is what is going to be the expectation, it's going to be the vibration and the energy with which we are creating our lives going forward. And so it's the place of attraction for us. So we're going to be increasing the denseness and the low vibration of what we are drawing into our lives. And so it's going to be really hard for us to have a life we want when we are carrying that. And so that's the best argument that I can provide. Now, I hate calling it an argument, but I guess it's the best sort of logic that I can provide for letting things go, for learning to tell a different story about it, for making different meaning out of it, and I had people say to me, well, it happened. It is what it is. It's what happened. I can't change what happened. You can't change what happened, but you can change the meaning you're making out of it. You can change the story that you're telling about it. You can change the energy around it. And you can, and if you do that, then you can change how it affects you for the rest of your life, or how it doesn't affect you for the rest of your life. And so that is a lovely segue to the next thing that I want to talk about, because so this week I'm very excited to tell you that I've been thinking about this for a while, about this whole story thing. This has become very much of a theme in my coaching work and also in my psychotherapy work. And so I decided to create a program about it. I wanted to create a course, and so I'm doing that right now. It's launched right now. The cart is open, and it is 6 weeks of live group coaching. And the website is right on the screen, coachkellyrussell.com/unstory. And the link is in the chat. And it's over the 6 week period. It is 90-minute modules, 90-minute weekly modules in which we meet, and it's live teaching and live coaching about how to change your story and how to reauthor your story, any story that you're carrying, so that you can raise the energy field, so that it is not a negative story. It is not a story that's going to keep you from having the life that you want. And we start by identifying the stories, because sometimes we don't even know that we're telling a story. We just think we're recounting what happened to us, and we don't understand the implications, the creative implications to us telling the same thing, the same story over and over and over again. And so in this course, over these 6 90-minute modules, we that is exactly what we do. We identify what the stories are. We look at what the issues are that we're having, and then we look at, okay, well, I'm having this issue, so I'm obviously telling a story about it. So what is the story? And that's what we dig into, is let's find out how I'm looking at this, what the story is that I'm telling about it, and how that story that I'm telling about it is affecting me negatively, and what it's creating in my life. And then I can make a decision about whether I want to keep creating this in my life and keep attracting things that are aligned with the energy field of this story, that are in that same vibrational frequency, that have that same density, that carry the same emotional code, that carry the same, if it's anger, if it's resentment, if it's victimhood, if it is um, feeling like it was unfair and it shouldn't have happened, and all of these things like that. Then how do I transform that so that I can lift my energy about it by telling a different story about it, and then having the new story be my point of attraction in my life, the point from which I create. Because if we have certain things that we want to do in our life and things we want to experience, and we want them to be good things, and that we want them to come from a place of love and be happy and joyful and peaceful and have fun and have a blast, and enjoy everyone and everything, and have it be blissful and awesome and amazing. We can't do that if we're coming from a low vibrational energy field. We just can't. They have to match. Whatever we bring into our lives has to match whatever our energy is, our thought energy is, which is being broadcast by the story that we're telling ourselves. And so I I'm so excited about this course. It's something that I've been thinking about for a long time, and I finally just said I'm going to create this. This is what I want to do. And so what's happening right now is that this is the creation of the course, and I am each one of these modules that is live. This is the time when this course is going to be live. After this, it's going to be a recorded course in the future. But I am recording it by teaching it live and having it be live group coaching, which I just so if you so right now you have the opportunity to be part of that, and so you would be what's called a beta member of it. That's the way that it's unrolling. And so being a beta member of it means that you are going to be able to be in that position of being able to ask questions, and there will be a Q&A. There'll be teaching in every session. There'll be a segment of teaching, and then there will be a segment of live coaching and Q&A. And so, it's I think it's a really unique opportunity. And the best thing about it is that this program is going to be priced at 997 when it is a completed recorded program, but it's being offered to beta members at about 50% of that. So it's being offered at 497. So I think that's a great deal for basically what is amounts to be about 9 hours of group coaching, and being able to just witness yourself, like using the tools, learning what they are, uncovering what your stories are, seeing how they're affecting your life and what you are creating and calling into your life, and what is staying the same and what is not being allowed to change because of the story that you continue to be telling about it. And being able to do that with somebody who's done it a lot with other people, and I've done it on myself. And so being able to use me as a guide in that way, my experience with other people as well as my experience with myself, and allowing me to help you to craft a different story or multiple different stories about your life so that you can have a very different experience, and you can go from feeling like a victim in some of these stories in your life, and not having power and not having control and not being able to say what happens, and and we don't go back and change the past, but what we do is take whatever occurred in the past, the story that we were telling ourselves about it, the meaning we were making of it, recognizing that whatever that was, and however I was telling myself about that, is not serving me. It's not, it's literally keeping me from having the life or the relationships or the experiences or the jobs or the education or the fun or the whatever, fill in the blank, that I want to have. And that when you create a new story around it, and you feel the emotion of the new story, and as you're telling it to yourself, and as you're telling it to, rather than telling your old story to whomever in your life, when you're telling your new story, all of that is forming new neural networks in your brain. It's literally causing things to wire differently, so that you don't look at things the same way. You don't you in some ways, you're literally becoming a different version of yourself. And in order for you to be able to create that life that you want, you have to be a different version of yourself. You can't continue to be the version of yourself that was thinking in the way that you used to be thinking. It just won't work. It's not there, as I said before, it's not aligned. And so joining this course and spending this 6 weeks, these 90 minutes together every week, learning the tools, learning to undo the way that you were thinking, learning to look with a completely different lens at what occurred, and the meaning that you made of it and how it made you feel, and then trying on some different ways of looking at whatever it was, trying on some new lenses, and that carry a different emotional code with them, and seeing how that feels, and seeing how when you say it like that, and when you tell that story about it, and when you frame it in that way, and when you are able to look at yourself in heroic terms instead of victim terms, how that completely changes your energy and your outlook and your ultimately your experience. And so I'm I hope that this is something that if you feel like there are things that you want to do in your life and you are believing that you can't because of something that happened to you and you think it's holding you back, or you think that it's not available to you, or that it's made it so that it's not something that you would ever be able to achieve or have or do or be. No, I had a story going for a long time that I didn't have a 4-year degree, and that I had wanted to be a therapist a long time ago when I was 18 years old, and I started out in my first couple of years of college, going full speed ahead in psychology and loving it, and just knowing that I was going to be a therapist one day. And then things transpired in a certain way, and I made stories out of them, and before I knew it, I was not in school anymore, and I told myself that dream was dead. I would never be able to do that because of this reason and the other reason. And it just wasn't something that was in the cards for me, and there was no way that it could happen. And I just had to, be good at this sales career that I was in, that I sort of accidentally fell into. And you didn't have to have a 4-year degree to have a sales career. So I had a good career for 20 years. And then another big thing happened, 9/11, and it gave me a whole new opportunity to look at that situation again, because I couldn't get a sales job because I didn't have a 4-year degree. And there were too many people that were flooding the market that had degrees, because so many of us got laid off at that time. And so it caused me to relook at the idea of going back to school, and it gave me a reason to do it. And so I changed my story about I can't go to school. And it was, not only can I go to school, I have to go to school because I can't get a job without a 4-year degree. And since I'm going to go to school anyway, I'm just going to go back and do what I said I was going to do and finish my bachelor's and get a master's degree and become a therapist. I mean, and when I changed my story, and when told that story instead, so many crazy, miraculous, unforeseen blessings happened, and doors opened, and opportunities arose, and gifts appeared. I mean, literally, that cliche about a long lost uncle dying and leaving me money happened. And things you just could not, that there was no way that I could have ever foreseen or imagined. And so it happened because I changed my story, I changed my vibration, and those things were all hanging out, waiting for me to do that so that they could help me. And that's what happened. And so if there's something that you want, if there's a dream that you have that you put on hold, if there's something that you want to do in your life, if there's a change that you want to make, if there's, just something that you've been thinking about, and you feel stuck, you can't move forward, you're not sure where to go with it, and you don't seem to be able to mobilize yourself, or gain the momentum, then this course could really help you, and the life coaching could really be very beneficial to you. So I hope you will check it out. The link is there again on the screen, um, and it is in the chat as well. So I hope you will, take advantage of it, and give that gift to yourself. That's really what it is. A lot of times when I know in my own life when there has been an opportunity for me to um, to do something like this, to do either it's a coaching program or it's a course or it's some kind of an opportunity. One of the stories that I sometimes will have going is um, that I can't do that. I can't spend the money on that. I need to. It wouldn't be responsible for me to do that. I really need to like save the money to do this other thing with, and I need to be an adult about it, and I need to not just do kind of whatever I want, although that is getting better. But if I really think about something that is really calling me, and if it's something that I've been asking for help about in particular, like I really wanna, I really wanna get over this thing. I really want to break through this or get past this or heal this. And there have been many times in my life when I've said things like that. And that's stating an intention to the universe. That is voicing a powerful desire. And all our prayers are answered in the moment they are said. In terms of the answer is energetically created the moment that we state what we want or state an intention, state a desire. But if we're not a vibrational match for it, then we're not going to be able to instantly have it. But what will happen is we will start to be guided. There will be things that are be showing up in our life that have to, I call them lit up breadcrumbs, that have to do with this is the path. This is the next thing to this is the next guidepost. This is the next thing to do. Here's somebody to talk to. Here's a website to go to. Here's a class to take. Here's a coaching program to do. Here's a book to read. Here's a YouTube to watch. And those are all part and parcel of the guidance that we are constantly receiving to move ourselves closer to what our desire is, that inner being that is within us, that is within our mind, that knows what we want, that knows what will make us happy, that knows the direction in which love lies and joy lies, and is trying to help us go this way. Don't go this way that you've been going toward fear and looking backward and, saying the reason why things can't be the way that you want them, but go this way. And so that's what I want this program to be for you. If 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 something that's, if you've got something going on and you could really use help with breaking through some stuff, and you can see that there's probably a story going on there, and I can guarantee that there is. If there's something that you want to do or be or have or experience and you're not, and you feel like you're not moving forward to allow it to happen, it is because there's a story happening. And so this this course could really help you about it. But there's only this is the important piece here to look at and think about and act on if you're going to do this, is that this in the enrollment for it closes this Saturday. So this is Wednesday. So Thursday, Friday, Saturday. So 3 days from now at midnight, the enrollment for this is done and it's over. And it will not be offered like this again because this program will already be recorded um, the next time, and it will be priced differently, and it will just be it'll be a different version of itself. So if you want to be able to take advantage of this and do so at a price that is 50% off, which I think, why wouldn't you? And be able to have that access to me live, to be able to help you, while I'm sort of live and in person, then this would definitely be the time to do it and act on it. And so I wouldn't wait. I would click the link and go over there and watch the video about it and read about the benefits that you can have as being a beta member of this program. And do give yourself that gift. And I know it probably sounds weird that I'm saying give yourself the gift of doing coaching with me. But it's not me, just me. It's give yourself the gift of unstorying yourself. Give yourself the gift of releasing those chains that are binding you, those chains of whatever story that you've got going on that are keeping you in the place that you've been. And for however long, you might have been in that place for years or decades. There are stories that I had that I have had. There's stories that I let go of a long time ago. There's stories that I am still working to let go of, but I do know it. And the great thing is that when you step out in the direction, when you make that decision to unstory yourself, where the trust comes in is it's not the trust in another person. It's the trust that is formed between yourself and the divine. And that is the ultimate trust that really all of us, that's the only trust we can really have. I mean, we can trust other people in the world for however long, but that is not eternal. That's not an eternal trust. And people in the world can be that we all are manifestations of the divine. And so that is the aspect of everyone that you can trust, is the spirit that is within them. We can't trust other people's egos and how they're playing out. And in this world, our egos cause us to be changeable and be one way one time and one way a different time, and it's hard to get our footing sometimes. And so us learning to trust spirit, to trust God, to trust the universe, to trust the divine, to trust our inner being, to trust love, that really is what the answer is. And that's what this course really teaches you to do, is to trust that love is guiding you, that love is what you are, it's what you're made of, it's where you come from, it's where you're awakening to return to. That's what enlightenment is just realizing the love that we are. And the more that we can shine away everything about ourselves that is not aligned with love, more and more, the more that we can reclaim the light that is within us, which is really the truth of us, the more that we are able to trust our relationship with the divine, knowing that, that whether it's the universe, God, the universe, again, however you call it, that love has our back, that love is in this with us, that love is riding shotgun, and love is our GPS, and love is telling us where where we need to go and what we need to do. So if anybody has any questions, I know that we're doing a Q&A. I didn't see any questions on the chat, so I was kind of just going on and answering, giving you information in case some of those things might be questions for people who might be watching the recording of this and might have some questions about it. So um, if somebody's got a question, I invite you to go ahead and put it up on the chat. And if I'm going to kind of keep talking until I see a question. And I know one thing that people that sometimes want to ask about this, which is are there payment plans available? And so what I will say is that I know that if you use PayPal, if you get PayPal credit, that PayPal credit allows you to charge things online or something, and wherever you can use a PayPal, the PayPal credit card, that you can get 6 months interest free, 0% interest, to pay it off. And so I've done that before with paying for things over time. and specifically coaching programs. And so that's one thing that you might consider if you're looking for a payment plan. And the other thing is, if you have questions about what time this coaching program is going to be offered, it's going to be on Tuesdays, beginning next Tuesday, April 30th, at from 6 to 7:30 Eastern time. And then the sessions will be recorded, and the replays will be sent out to the people that are enrolled. And so I love to see you live, and I love to have your live energy, and I hope that that's what you'll be able to do. But if not, know that you can still very much participate through the replays and being able to submit questions to me, um, like through email or in the chat, and then I will answer them when I'm live again. So, um, I don't know if that's something that you've got a question about, but that's the way that that works, and that seems to work pretty well. And if you've got any questions about this program and you want to ask them, you know, like ask them to me prior to signing up on Saturday or before Saturday, you can email me at kelly@rockyourjoy.com and ask questions about it, and I'll be happy to respond to you. And you can also put questions if you're watching this on either YouTube or Facebook. You can put your questions in the comments, and I'll be happy to respond there as well. So again, 3 days from now, Saturday at midnight Eastern time, is when the enrollment cart closes for this program. So, I'd love to have you join us. I think it will. I'm not even, I think, I know that it will be helpful because I've seen the results of doing this work the way that I've done it, and the way that people that I've coached and people that I've done psychotherapy with have done it, and the results that they have gained. And it really is priceless that when you make the decision to tell a different story about something, then the story, whatever story you're telling, becomes the life that you're living. We live our stories. It's just the way that it works. And so when you do change your story about something, you really do change your life. It's I know that that sounds sort of like, a slogan or a little bit dramatic or whatever, but it's absolutely true, and I am living proof of that because there are so many stories that I have changed about so many things. And, I gave you a couple of examples in this live, but, you know, thinking I was thinking I was a loser, thinking that I couldn't have a happy relationship, um, thinking I couldn't be successful, thinking I couldn't be a teacher of A Course in Miracles. I remember that was on a vision board of mine. Oh my gosh, I think I probably first put that on a vision board like maybe I don't know, like something like 15 years ago. And it didn't take all that long before I was teaching a Course in Miracles after I cut out the little Course in Miracles book out of a magazine and put it on a vision board and put teacher of in front of it. And, you know, uh, going from somebody that was divorced a couple times to being in a really happy, beautiful relationship with a wonderful man for 11 years. And I mean, I could go on, all because of stories that I've changed, um, and and decided to tell a new, improved, revised edition about. So, thank you so much for being with me this evening. And thanks for joining me on the replay. And thank you in advance for signing up for my course and doing it with me, and for being present with me for 6 weeks in those 90-minute sessions of revising our stories together. And I can't wait to meet the hero that's within you. I love you so much. Mwah!